Hey guys! It's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Mystic Destinies, Hikaru's Route Book 2! I think we're in day 5, I'm not sure. We're in the village, and now there's a large scaly creature that just jumped out of the lake after we had a nice touching moment. It's amazing that monsters have timing, like, we're having a touching moment! Isn't there a monster by the lake that you're standing at? But we need to hug, and I need to give you all this self-reflection, and we need to, okay, are we good? We're good. Perfect time for the monster to jump out. Oh, like, and then he's like, tap, tap. Are you good? Okay. I just didn't want to interrupt. You're good. Okay, cool. Ready? Roar! I mean, it's amazing how considerate monsters are of your touchy feelings. Anyway. A large green, scaly creature stands before us, dripping with water. Hikaru immediately shoves me behind him. So it is a kappa after all. But why is it here, in a lake? Something is off. Inara, can you run and get Lady Shizuka? There's no way in hell I'm leaving you, so don't even try it. I've been trained by a demigod and the legendary sorcerer Shizuka. There's no way I can back down with my pride intact, and there's no way I'm gonna lose. So that is how it's going to be. Yep, that's how it is. The kappa runs at us with incredible speed. It's so fast that I barely see it move, dodging just a second before it rushes right past me. How is it so fast? From what I do remember about kappa, they're not supposed to be this unnaturally fast. Hikaru pulls out his sword and meets the kappa head-on as it jumps at him, trying to get a bite out of him. He grunts as he struggles to keep the creature off of him. This is no ordinary kappa. This strength is unreal. Hikaru's voice is strained as he speaks, and not for a moment does he take his eyes off the kappa. Looking at the crazed creature, I have to agree. There's something off. Just like there was something off with the creature that attacked us before. I get lost in the thoughts just a moment too long. The kappa overpowers Hikaru, making him jump back, away from the creature's clawed hand. I barely catch Hikaru's hand reaching for his earring. Oh, hi! Look, we got his demigod form! Look, and he's got like little magic things. With a flash of light, Hikaru stands transformed. The kappa stands frozen, much like me, staring at the godly form before us. I snap myself out of my frozen state and push my hands out toward the kappa. It shrieks as walls of ice shoot out from the ground around him. Hikaru wastes no time. Using the opening I've created, he glides forward as if he no longer needs to abide by the laws of gravity. The music is kind of cool. He makes a slicing motion with his hand. A sharp gust of wind pushes forward, easily cutting through both the kappa and my ice barriers. The kappa gargles and its body falls to the ground like a sack of potatoes. I stare at the dead creature as my ice barriers melt away, but I find my eyes drifting towards Hikaru. He's still in his godly form, stands near the slain kappa's body. Hikaru looks at me, and I unconsciously take a step back, feeling the intense aura radiating from him. Do you fear me? Hikaru's voice is deeper and almost echoing as he's imbued with divine power. A little bit. Maybe a little, seeing what you are and can do. Yeah, it's a little scary. A reasonable response. You would do well to stay away from gods. Their ideals do not align with humans, and any human imbued with enough of their power is a danger to everything. That disgust and the monster we came here to fight already dealt with, we decide to head back to the village. But I can see the hesitation in Hikaru's eyes, so I hold his hand the rest of the way back. When we get back to town, people still look at Hikaru with suspicious eyes. But it's obvious that Shizuka and Sina managed to calm the situation down. When we explain that the kappa is dead, and that Hikaru killed it, everyone rejoices. The tension in the village lightens somewhat, and no one approaches Hikaru anymore. Plans for a feast are made instead, and we are offered a room for the night. As we stand in the village's center, discussing what to do next, Sina rushes towards us. She almost trips over her own feet, but managed to catch herself just in time. I have some news! The leader of the village has asked me to go pray at the shrine tomorrow. The village wants to give thanks to our patron god. They also want me to ask further protection so tragedies like this won't happen again. Is that so? Then, since we managed to take care of the problem so quickly, I will have some time tomorrow. I will go with you to protect you on the journey. You really don't have to, but it's appreciated. I'd be happy to have you along. We will go then. We will go too then, if you do not mind. We will spend tomorrow preparing for our journey and recovering a bit, and then we can join you. Sounds great, thank you. I'd be honored to travel with you, Lady Shizuka. I'm kind of excited now. I haven't taken a trip with anyone in a long time. Sina bows. Thank you so much. With that, we say our goodnights and head off to the inn where we'll be staying. The three of us are given rooms for the night, with me and Shizuka and with Shizuka and Hikaru with his own. When I get there, I nearly pass out from the long trek and fight on the spot. My last thoughts before slumber turn to Hikaru. I'm really happy. I'm happy to have learned about his past, that he trusted me enough to tell me. Finally, I think I'm coming to understand him better. I just wish that he could remember everything when he woke up. Even though I know it's an impossible dream, it comforts me as I fall to sleep. Okay, so that part would have been like 45 minutes, but whatever. I ended up sleeping well into the day, near as I can tell by the sunlight, both from exhaustion and from finally being in a proper sleeping situation. I've taken a roof over my head for granted for so many years. I'll always be thankful from now on. I wake up both very hungry and very alone. I wonder where Shizuka is. I end up stepping out into the hallway just as Hikaru is passing by. He narrowly avoids our collision by gracefully stepping out of the way. Hikaru, I begin to ask where Shizuka is, but he takes one look at me and goes red in the face. Inara, you are, indecent. Huh? I look down and see that my kimono is in disarray. Desperately, I try to wrap the clothes around myself. Ah, damn it, I'm not used to wearing these things. I don't even know how to fix it. Do you know where Shizuka is? I don't even know how to fix this thing. She is, out. She went to get supplies for our future travels with the money we were given for defeating the Kappa. I thought seriously he was turning red in the face because Shizuka was in his bedroom. She was gonna come popping out like, oh, God, oh, I'm barely naked. Like, fuck. I'm almost fucking my boyfriend. Creepy. Oh, do you know when she'll be back? I do not. I suggest you just stay in your room and rest until she gets back. I will make certain to send her to your room as soon as I see her. You can't help me fix it? Certainly not. You should get back to your room right now before someone sees you. Hikaru raises his hand, his palm facing me. A small gust of wind pushes me back into my room, almost making me stumble. That's so fucking adorable, he's embarrassed. Despite the fact that, like, earlier in our life, but later in his, he slams us up against a wall and practically, like, humps us up against it. I mean, Jesus. The shoji screen slides shut so fast that for a brief moment I think it might catch on fire. I stare at the screen, stunned. What? I burst into laughter. My whole body shakes as I plop myself down on the floor. Man, he's a far cry. For Mr. Cabadon's his students? What's that? Cabadon's his students? Or, like, hits on his students? Because that's kind of what he did to us. I wonder where all that modesty went in 500 years. It takes me a while to calm down from my hysterics, but after that I find I have nothing to do. I end up nearly dying of boredom and hunger in my room, practicing spells by myself until Shizuka comes back later that evening. She ends up helping me fix my kimono so that I can finally go down to dinner. But before I do, I finally venture to ask Shizuka a question. Shizuka, can I ask you a question? Of course. What is your relationship to Hikaru? Because this is all getting really awkward. That is simple enough, at least on my side. He has always reminded me of my little brothers, and I view him as such. Oh. You have little brothers? Does that mean I have uncles? Maybe even cousins? And had. It's been a long time. Oh, had. It has been a long time. Oh, I'm sorry. It is all right. Do not trouble yourself over it. It doesn't feel like anything close to all right, but I don't know that I should push it. Maybe that's why she was like crazy and wanted to protect us and gave us her curse, because she didn't, you know what I mean? Like, she's seen her whole family die. She's seen everyone she's ever loved die. Like, the poor woman has watched a lot. I mean, you think now, 500 years from now when we're alive and, you know, whatever. But even before that, like, whenever her family was alive, she saw them die, obviously. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Anyway. I can't stop myself from letting out a sigh. Oh, anyway, you said on my side. You should probably ask him how he feels yourself. I gotta turn my, is it just me or is the music? I think I tested it. The music isn't really loud. It's just coming out really loud in my ear. You should probably ask him how he feels yourself. But there is nothing going on between us. We are only traveling companions and friends. I realize that I feel immense relief at her explanation. See, I told you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was waiting for there still to be something weird. I was like, hold my breath, but I was like, you remind me of her, as you remind me of that girl that I saw, but that I probably barely remember, but it's really you. Ugh, seriously, Inara, this is not the time or place to be having feelings. It's never the time or place. But even still, I can't quite stop myself from nearly skipping down to dinner that night. Day 7. Inara's log, Day 7. I have walked more in the past week than I ever have in my life. We've been walking all day, and thankfully, Hikaru seems to be in a much better mood. Sina asked him about what he's been doing in the years since she's seen him, so Hikaru has been regaling us with tales of some of his lighter past adventures. You're seriously saying that a giant spider tried to seduce you? Aragog is gay? What can I say? Apparently she thought I was a handsome guy. I look up at the sky and, seeing that it will be night soon, sigh. It looks like we won't make it back to town before dark. Sleeping indoors was nice while it lasted. Lady Shizuka, is something wrong? It is nothing. Everything should be fine. I'm not sure if I've ever seen her look that worried before. Rarely, anyway. Is there something wrong with it being night? Well, we've always been fine before. Could it be the area? I glance over at Sina, but she doesn't look very happy either. Well, we're a powerful group. I'm sure we can handle whatever might go wrong. I sigh again. I seem to be doing that a lot lately. Being an adventurer sounds fun, but then when you get right down to it, it's hella stressful. Shortly after that, we finally arrive at the shrine. Sina begins to walk through the gate, but then stops and looks back at us. You guys aren't coming? I am sorry, but I do not share your beliefs. I have no need. Same for me. Oh, all right. I'll just be a few minutes then. Take your time. Sina walks up through the gate, being careful to avoid the center. Hikaru and Shizuka immediately strike up a discussion as if they're waiting for her to leave. Hikaru. Yes, Lady Shizuka. While I was in town yesterday, I heard grave news. Hikaru's demeanor shifts to one of utmost seriousness, and I grow concerned. What could be so bad as to shake Shizuka? Shizuka takes a deep breath. It seems that the Weaver of Time has gone mad. Sunika no Mikoto? She nods. This must be the point in time Hikaru met her and did whatever he did to piss her off so badly. They say that she is destroying livestock, crops. There are reports of entire villages disappearing, though I cannot say if any of it is true. If it is, then we must stop her. It's not so easy to stop a raging goddess, even for me. And this Sunika no Mikoto, I do not fully know her power, but I'm aware of the stories. They do not change the solution. Let me guess. We do something to her, but she's really not the one doing it, and we fuck up everything, or he fucks up everything because he tries to, like, I'm gonna beat you down, bitch, and it's not really her doing it. Maybe that's why she's so pissed. Or that's when her lover gets killed. Okay, we gotta make sure her lover doesn't killed. If the Weaver of Time has gone truly insane, then we are the best people to stop her. I was totally reading that in Shizuka's voice. No matter what, we cannot let innocent people die while we save ourselves. There's no point in having power if you do not use it to help those you can. I see. I expected nothing less from you, in truth. But I wanted you to understand the situation. I do. We should begin traveling to our last known location as soon as possible. What about me? No. What about Sina? No. Hikaru, don't fight her. Hikaru, don't fight her. This has to be why she gets so angry at you later on. Maybe we can prevent what happens later. I do not know that much about time magic or other universes, but from what I understand, it is impossible to change the future. It is unlikely that the Weaver would let that happen anyway, and I cannot just stand by and let innocent people die while I cling to a vague hope to save myself. Maybe Shizuka and I could fight alone? Hikaru places a hand on my shoulder. I do have my pride and honor as a man. More importantly, I can never risk any harm coming to you two to save myself. Thank you for caring so much, but I cannot back down. I do not like the idea of risking either of you. My heart skips a beat at this before I can chastise it. But I respect both of you and your abilities. I would be honored to fight alongside you both. I never thought I'd hear something like that in real life. Or that it sounds so romantic. Seriously? Oh my god. Good god. Oh, fuck. Shit. Sorry. Totally not related. No, stop it, Anara. Please, do not tell Sina about this. I would prefer not to upset her. Tell me about what? We returned to see that Sina has come back from the shrine. Well, I wanted to avoid telling you, but since you overheard some, we have to leave tomorrow, immediately after we get you back to your village. I'm sorry. I know I told you we would stay for a few days at least. He lied just like that, huh? Well, I guess it technically isn't a lie. Oh, I see. Well, it can't be helped, right? Honestly, I'm just happy I even got to see you again and spend this much time with you. So let's get going then. There's a nice place to camp nearby. Before anyone can say anything else, Sina is strolling off into the forest, and we have no choice but to follow her. Hikaru went to gather wood for the campfire while we set about preparing the campsite. Having magic is seriously convenient at times like this, since you can just start a fire with that instead of actual effort. Yet they still don't have smartphones. When Hikaru returns with the firewood, we set about cooking the food we brought from town. All of us except for Shizuka, who finishes drawing a chalk line on the ground. Carefully following the chalk line, she places crystals into the ground all around us. Sina watches her with interested eyes, but me, I feel sweat bead on the back of my neck as I remember. Mother snaps her fingers. As if I was a marionette on strings, my body plays along, sitting up on its own. I can see a strange chalk circle outline on the ground around us. Her heels click against the stone. She walks to something that looks like an altar of some sort. Please explain. Why have you done this to me? Why? How? I can see her eyes dart toward me momentarily as she continues to work. She places various crystals along the chalk outline. My heart is beating impossibly fast. I try to stay calm as I possibly can. I suppose I should explain myself. It's only fair. She stops and looks at me. I am many things. My true name is Shizuka. I am the last living sorceress. A mistake rendered me cursed, unable to die. I feel nauseous and lightheaded. I stumble back a little and almost fall, but Hikaru is right there, steadying me. Are you feeling all right, Inara? Yeah. I stand up on my own and turn away from Shizuka. I fret on the inside, but I know that ignoring it will only make it worse. So instead I go ahead and ask what I want to know. Why is she doing that? Is it a ritual? Hikaru glances at Shizuka and then back to me. Sometimes she does place protections when we are in particularly dangerous areas. I did not know this was one of them, but I have never ventured outside Miyazawa? I can't remember it every time it comes. Miyazawa in this direction before. Hikaru lowers his voice. I can guess what you might be thinking, and I can assure you that Shizuka means you no harm. And even if she did, I would not let anything happen to you. Oh. Thank you. Thanks. My anxiety remains, at least about sleeping in such an apparently dangerous area. I mean, that's true. We told Hikaru what she did to us, so he's like, she's not gonna, because she doesn't know. I'm too scared to even approach Shizuka, much less ask her. In the end, her preparations take the rest of the time until dinner is ready. We all gather around the campfire to eat our dinner. I begin to think about our unusual situation. I'd never done anything like this before, camping on a mountain under the stars. It feels kind of cozy, like some kind of weird family. I stare into the dancing flames of the bonfire, like, she's so cute in this one, like, and he's so fucking, like, she's, like, cute, like, look, she's so cute, and, like, he's fucking beautiful. Like, they switch their faces. I wonder who would be who in the family. Maybe Sienna, Shizuka, and I would all be sisters? Well, no, that'd make Hikaru a brother, the protagonist of some kind of weird harem. Pfft. I hold in a laugh at the idea. Still, it feels nice. Deceptively so. I can almost get used to living in this time. Shizuka is unexpectedly comforting, like a reliable older sister. Or maybe this is what she would have been like as a better mother. But then why is she so cold to me anyway? Why was she? I have so many questions still. First and foremost, though, even if the gods have been silent, I can't forget my mission to get Hikaru's last soul fragments. I just wouldn't mind if it took a lot longer to do so. It's not like time is ticking for me in my world, probably. Or like my body is aging. Hikaru's smooth, deep voice interrupts my thoughts then. Lady Shizuka. Yes, Hikaru. May I ask why you placed wards around our campsite tonight? A look of something like fear flits across Shizuka's face. I feel my stomach tightening into a ball. Sina only stares down into the fire, her already pale face growing even paler. Lady Shizuka. A fear settles upon Shizuka's countenance. A thin whisper, almost lost in the night winds, carries a single word to my ears. Gashadakoro? Kuro? Gashadakoro. Here? A small nod from the last sorceress is enough to cause a cloud of anxiety to fall over the group. Gashadakuro, is that some kind of monster? Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't mention it because I didn't want to make anyone nervous. I thought we'd be back before nightfall, but I took too long, and we left too late, and I'm... Sina, it's not your fault. Everything is alright. We will all be fine. I would have slept in the motherfucking temple. God damn it, Kitsune, you're gonna let us in there. What was a cozy atmosphere has been changed into nothing but 4 people in the middle of the wilderness, huddling together against the dangers that lie within the night. I spent a lot of time outside of Japan. Long story. Could someone explain what those are? Even though, if it's got Shizuka scared, I doubt I really want to know. Both of the women look too nervous to speak, so after a moment, Hikaru begins to answer my question. Gashadakuro are horrifying giant skeletons. That's enough, that's all I need to know. They are said to be 15 times taller than the average human. They can turn invisible, and they're said to be indestructible. They are said to be an amalgamation of all the bones of people who died in the wilderness, whether of starvation or in battle without being given proper funeral rites. The monstrosity roams certain areas in the darkest hours of the night, snatching travelers and biting off their heads to drink their spraying blood. It is said the only sound before they attack is the sound of a loud ringing in your ear. Hikaru? Please, don't. Hikaru blinks as if not realizing how into his own story he had gotten. He clears his throat. Sorry. I exhale, letting out the breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Now that is a creepy-ass motherfucking campfire story. I'm sorry, not the like, and there's a guy with hook hands in the woods. That's scary. No, fuck that. So there's this creepy guy. No, you know what's creepy? Fucking 15-foot skeletons are gonna bite my goddamn head off, my blood spraying all over because I'm sleeping. And now the music is like, nice, and you're like, that is not, not after that story. No, fuck that shit. Like, I just peed myself. I'm kidding, I did not. But seriously, that's scary shit. She's like, and I have to pee, but I'm gonna go right here. I'm not going into the woods. I exhale, letting out the breath I didn't know I'd been holding. That bastard. Was he trying to scare us? Since Shizuka has already put up wards, then we've done all we can. So can we maybe talk about something else then? Sure, but what do you want to talk about? I think my eyes fall on Shizuka, but I can't think of anything appropriate to ask her. A certain topic does come to mind, however, and I try to think of how to phrase it so it won't alarm Sina. Well, when we were in town, I thought I heard someone mention some kind of Weaver of Time. Do any of you guys know more about that person? She was like, I heard... Hikaru's eyes narrow at me. What? I didn't tell her anything? He sighs and begins to speak anyway. I've heard of her. We met her and her lover once on our travels. We, as in you and Shizuka. Yes. There are stories that they live in whatever place and time period they choose, so I never imagined that I would meet them. But they are settled in Japan right now. We met them briefly as fellow travelers in a town. I was finishing my purchase of some magical supplies for our travels when I felt an immense energy nearby. Did you feel that? Just for a moment, but yes. Oh God. When he lost his shit and killed everyone in the town. When he lost his shit and killed everyone in the town, did he kill her boyfriend? Well, fuck, we're too late. That was huge. Indeed, I hope it is not a threat. I'm not certain, but I think it was of a divine nature. Here? Now I finished my exchange and stepped away, scanning the crowds around us. I wondered if there might be gods in our midst, and hoped they were not enemies. And this is when I saw her, standing right beside me. A tiny thing, she looked as if she were a young girl, more than a goddess. But there was something about her that made me certain she was no ordinary mortal. Hello! You two are such sharp ones, aren't you? She spoke with a strange accent that I could not place. Some gods do, but the Weaver's was undoubtedly one of the strangest I had ever heard. Are you what we think you are? Am I a mind reader now? Well, I suppose I might be one. But it's a bit rude to presume that I might want to waste time doing that, isn't it? At any rate, I am what you see. I am what you sense. That esoteric enough for ya? Hikaru exhales deeply. Can none of your kind be remotely normal? Oh, my feelings are hurt. A half-breed god traveling with one of the Grandpa Emo's offspring doesn't think I'm normal. How dare you speak that way to Lady Shizuka? A calm, deep voice cut through the impending argument. It was then I realized there was not just one god before us, but two. He had been standing close by the entire time without me noticing it seemed. Look at him! Hello! Aren't you adorable? Look at you, cute, in your little, fucking hipster beard. Sunika. The large man's hand sank down to Sunika's shoulder, giving it a loving squeeze. I was in shock, realizing who the two must be then. Not only had we stumbled upon gods who were so rarely in human realms, but we had found the only two known time gods to exist in our lifetime. There's no need to put out these people's identities or be cruel to them. Seeing the way he spoke to the tiny goddess, I knew this god's name must be Tokyo no Mikoto, the keeper of time. He looked at us then, and I immediately felt a warm feeling of comfort staring into his eyes. Unlike the sharp goddess, Tokyo's eyes radiated safety and gentleness. He is adorable. He's so much everybody else is so porcelain perfect, and he just looks actually a little slightly more real. It's because he's got the shadow because of the beard and everything. I like that. I don't know. Well met. It's always an interesting experience to meet people who know of us. I wonder that it is more coincidence that we were able to meet two time travelers in the right place and location. Perhaps it is indeed fate. It's good to return to our own time period every now and then. It can only be lonely in others, knowing that we will be forgotten when we leave. I can only imagine. Tokyo looked down at his lover with a gentle, love-filled expression. I can hardly pay justice to it in words. My love, would you like to invite these people to eat with us? I'm sure they'll provide entertaining discussion. Yeah, sure. So you just went and had a meal with a couple of gods? Yes, it was a memorable experience. Yes, they shared with us tales of their experiences in the future and past ages, and we in turn talked about some of our experiences. Wow, it's almost hard to believe you could just casually meet them like that. By the way, what did Tokyo mean by it can be lonely in other time periods? Divine magic dictates that order must be preserved. Tokyo and Sunika decided to spend their lives living in different time periods across the ages. But whatever they change, they must restore. No matter what happens, no one can remember them outside of their real time period. I see. That is pretty sad. And I think it explains why Sunika seems so thrilled with screwing up the other timelines. We talk a bit more about this and that, but my mind never really strays from the story Shizuka and Hikaru told about the two time gods. Is that because she did shit and that made us fuck the timelines up? Because she technically couldn't fuck them up. You know what I mean? She threw Hikaru's soul the soul fragments went in different periods. We went to get them and she came along and I'm gonna boop you on the nose and then you'll forget, but then we're the ones, it's our presence in these other times that are fucking everything up. So she's technically fucking up time via us, so it doesn't count. She doesn't have to set it right, because Hikaru just said, well, when they fuck shit up, they got to set it right. What's the point of being a time god? I don't know. Everything makes a little more sense now, hearing about how much they seem to love each other. I can't help but wonder what it would feel like to lose my other half. What would it be like to feel the pain she must have gone through? You felt that in 4 other worlds that you just fucked up. I'm guessing it just now happened in this timeline then. The thought of soon facing Sunika at the peak of her rage and fury puts my stomach into knots. But eventually we put out the campfire and all lie down to sleep. I can't sleep. With the threat of the Gashodokuro lurking nearby, and the coming fight against Sunika, I just can't sleep. After turning over on the hard ground about 50 times, I decide to get up and stretch. In doing so, I see a dark figure sitting at the edge of the barrier. Oh, dark figures. They sit right by the sakura trees, their figures silhouetted against the moonlight. Whoever it is. My heart stops for a moment as I try to figure out what I'm seeing. But then the figure turns toward me. Seeing familiar, vivid green eyes against the night, I realize that Shizuka is still awake. I hesitate only for a moment before walking over to her. Mimicking her, I kneel and sit beside the woman who will one day be my mother. You couldn't sleep either? Shizuka shakes her head. I can never sleep when Gashodokuro are nearby. Are you on guard then? Yes, I often am. I do not always mention it, but I try my best to watch over Hikaru when I can. And now there are all of you, too, so I cannot possibly sleep on a night like this. That's sweet, but don't you get tired the next day? I am only human, so yes, but there are some spells to help with staying up all night. You have to teach me those then. I bet they'd be useful for when I procrastinate my schoolwork too long. Shizuka gives me a little smile, and I have a nostalgic rush of affection for this woman. The feeling confuses me. I know I shouldn't feel this way, but she used to smile so much more when I was little, but those smiles grew colder and less frequent as time went on. To see her smile at me like this, it's strange, confusing. She's the woman that raised me, or she will be anyway. Mind if I keep you company? I don't know if I can sleep tonight myself. Not at all. I would be happy for you two. A comfortable silence falls between us. We both look up at the starlight dancing through between the branches of the sakura trees. Sakura trees? Whatever. Eventually, Shizuka is surprisingly the one to break the silence. That is beautiful. That's like a real-ass motherfucking picture, I feel like. I know that being in a completely different time than your own must be difficult, Inara. How have you been doing? Not as badly as I thought. I mean, I am used to way more comfort and convenience in my life. My clothes and shoes, and when I get to eat and when I want to know something. I've probably got bruises all over from sleeping on the ground, but I don't really get views like these in Tokyo in my time. I guess it would be called Edo now. That small fishing village? I guess it's nothing like that now. It's one of the biggest, most famous cities in the world. It has taller buildings than the eye can see, and at night the city sparkles. It's beautiful. Wow. It is somewhat hard to believe, but I think I am proud for Japan. You were lucky to live in such an incredible place. Yes, still though, the buildings and lights are too tall. They block out amazing views like this one. So even though things are often uncomfortable, I feel like it's worth it if I get to experience such amazing things. I'm happy then that it has been a positive experience for you so far. We lapse into silence again. I find myself experiencing a myriad of feelings. Happiness at getting to be like this with my mother, but resentment too, that the future Shizuka is much different. Shizuka turns to me and wordlessly looks at me for a few moments, but before I can ask her why, she begins to speak. May I ask you something, Inara? Oh, go ahead. Why is it that you look so much like me? If not for the eyes, we could be called twins. Oh, should I tell her? I look down at my hands resting in my lap, fingers gripping at the kimono fabric. Here's my chance to tell Shizuka everything, but do I want to take it? As I look at Shizuka, I realize that more than anything, I'm nervous to tell her the tale. I'm afraid she'll start being cold to me once she knows. I take a deep breath and begin to tell her everything. Everything about who I am and what she's done. And the deeper into the story I go, the more Shizuka frowns. So you are a homunculus. One that I created to be my daughter. One to push my powers onto, and she takes a deep breath and glances back toward our sleeping companions. The curse. You know about the curse. Shizuka looks up at the stars with a frown. Yes. I hold my breath and brace for her reaction. But I couldn't have predicted it. I am sorry for what I have done to you. I cannot fully understand my future self's reasons. But for you to continue to exist, to be able to come here and do all this, that means I must do it. She sighs and closes her eyes. We are locked in a time loop. There is no way out of it, of doing it. So I must take my dream of having a daughter and twist it like this. My chest feels heavy at her words. Shizuka looks down at her hands. I cannot imagine why I would do such a thing, to even consider it. especially after knowing you like this. She looks up at me with a smile, seemingly endless tears falling from those oh-so-familiar green eyes. Okay, see, time. Stop. So, like, when her mother looks at her like, I wish I could always protect you, it's because she knows at that point, I have to shove my powers onto you and it's going to fuck everything up. So it's like, she's like, I don't understand why I would do that, but I have to do it. Right, so that's why you do it. And then Inara comes here and is like, why did you do it to me? And she's like, fuck, now I gotta do it. And it's like, it's just never, so it's like the chicken and the egg, which came first? Did Shizuka turn her into Inara? Shizuka turned us into a monster, shoved her powers onto us, and then we went back in time. But to Shizuka, it's like, you told me that and I'm gonna have to do it to preserve the time loop. Like, you know what I'm saying? Same thing with the Hikaru situation. Like, you look so much like her. Because I am her. But the weird part is that you look so much like her. Oh, like, but then he was like, tell me you remember or whatever. Like, he knows who we are, but he can't tell us, like, we met in the past, right? Like, totally. Like 500 years ago. You're going to go on the funeral. But he can't tell us that. So it's like, so it's weird. Like, what if I told you I do remember? And it's like, we think we're faking it, but we don't remember because we haven't done it yet. Like, to him we were there, but to us we weren't. It's fucking weird. I love it. Woo! I love the time circles. Anyway. Yeah, okay, sorry. I want to say something, but I find that I have to choke back a sob of my own. If I must become a monster to bring you to your destiny. She looks so sad, my heart feels as if it's breaking, but she does not waver. If I must become a monster, then so be it. I will do what I must for you. Shizuka pauses, and when she speaks again, her voice sounds so much smaller. And while I can, may I... She stops. Yes? Gently I urge her to continue. May I call you my daughter and give you the love that I wasn't able to, even if only for now? I'd like to try it, at least. Oh my god, it's gonna make me cry! Oh my god. See, this does. It ties up the nice little bubble, so we know why Shizuka. Why did she do it? Why did you hate us, Mommy? She didn't. That's why she did it and she ran away. It's like, I have to do it because I have to preserve the time loop. And it probably killed her to do it. Oh. Oh. Oh, man. Mom. The last word remains unspoken. I can't yet bring myself to call her that. Not quite. From your story, I would assume that future me has not told you much about my past. I nod. Whatever whatever the future you has told me about anything magical or yourself, it was only very briefly during the ritual. I see. Would it be okay for me to tell you my story and past? Are you sure? Shizuka nods. I feel it only right that you should know. You deserve to know. It's like, it's your past, technically. Then yes, of course, I would love to hear it. Aw, that's pretty. A gust of wind blows through, suddenly creating a delicate pink rain of cherry blossom petals. Cherry blossoms. Shizuka reaches out, letting the petals dance between her fingers. I was born as the eldest child of a master swordsmith. My father was a very skilled craftsman, and I loved to watch him work. When I became old enough to be of any use, I loved helping him where I could. She chuckles sadly. My mother hated that. She wanted me to help around the house, to help with my little brothers. My father, he would always smile when he saw me sneak in to watch him work. Shizuka falls silent, her expression twists in pain. It is too painful to remember. If it's too painful to remember, that's very kind of you, but it is all right. Were your family too. I only regret that all I can give you is my memories of them. My parents, they would have liked to meet their granddaughter, that I'm sure of. I feel a sudden sharp pain in my heart. My family. The very thought that I have a family somewhere, now forever lost to time. People I would never get to meet. People that Shizuka had to leave behind. My brothers were also different, and yet they all loved nothing more than getting into trouble together. Running off to explore around the village together, I would be the one who had to run after them each time. As time went on and I grew older, I met the son of a samurai. We were quite taken with each other, and as things went, we were to be married. The whole village celebrated our union, and I thought I would live a happy life with my new husband. But on our wedding night, my powers awakened. The moment he saw my suddenly green eyes, he screamed and grabbed for his sword. I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't know why. I didn't want to die. Shizuka closed her eyes and takes a deep breath. Oh, God. I was terrified out of my mind. I don't know how I avoided his attacks. I don't know anything back then. I didn't know anything back then. I couldn't fight. So I just ran and ran. I ran through the village where the people who I once knew and loved suddenly turned on me. They all tried to get at me. They were throwing stones and calling me sorceress, begging for forgiveness from the gods as they attacked me. I was nearly out of the village when I saw him. My father. I stopped. I couldn't run. Not from him. Not from my beloved father. But father didn't attack me. Oh, thank God. I was like, if he attacks her, I'm going to cry. I'm like, a whole village. Fuck all those douchebags. They're all dead now. But like, oh, not your precious dad. He just hugged me so tight and cried. Father, he told me he loved me, that he always would, that I will forever be his precious daughter, and he told me to run, that he would tell everyone he killed me, that my body fell into the river and got swept away. I didn't get to say goodbye. The angry mob was getting closer. I had to run. His voice her voice becomes so quiet that I can barely hear her. I'm so sorry, Father. If I hadn't been born the way I was. I'm so sorry. Shizuka remains silent as tears continue to roll down her pale cheeks. Oh my God, she's like, I'm sorry I was born this way. Oh no, sweetie. You shouldn't apologize for how you were born. In that moment, I realize that my own face has become stained with tears. It's then that I want to reach out to her. That I want to reach out and hug this sad, gentle woman who will one day become my mother. After I escaped what was my home, I wandered the lands trying to find somewhere safe for me to stay. I traveled at night, staying away from people where there were any. And one foggy night, I happened upon a shrine. Even back then, it looked as ancient as the mountains. I was greeted by the guardian of the shrine, Yori, though at first he appeared to me as a wolf. He told me that the place was called Shiki Shrine. He said that it existed between worlds and that it was a safe place for sorcerers and other forsaken creatures. Shiki Shrine is where I learned so much as a sorceress. I stayed there for a while before setting off to travel the world. Yori made me a special charm before I left, one that would help me understand anyone around the world. And so while I traveled, I helped anyone who needed it. Eventually, I made a name for myself. I made friends along the way. But, due to a mistake on my part, I nearly died. No, I'm sure I was about to. I was with a friend at the time, and in trying to save me, I was cursed. The curse itself was not the intended result, but Shizuka sighs. I've always thought the curse might be of the permanent kind, and now, seeing that I had to transfer it, I am truly sorry for what I have done to you. And I'm so very sorry that I will have to do it. Even with you here like this, I cannot change things for you. I'm sorry. I nod. As much as I would love for things to be different, I also understand. Looking at Shizuka, I can't help but feel sorry for her. I feel like I finally have the full picture of it, and I must admit that I can't really judge her. How can I possibly judge her after what I myself have done? Thank you for telling me. I think I understand things a little better now. Thank you for hearing me out and sharing your tale as well. Your tale as well. We fall silent once more, but it feels comfortable. And yet, I still can't shake the unsettling feeling that grips at my heart. Mother? Yes. I feel nervous about what's going to happen with this fight with Sunika. Especially because I know that it's probably the cause of her anger later. I'm worried about Hikaru. It is possible that we may lose Hikaru, as unlike us, he is mortal. And how do you feel about that? I will do what I can to avoid losing yet another brother. A yawn escapes my lip, and Shizuka only gives me a little smile. You should rest while you can. Suddenly too tired to argue, I only nod. I get comfortable under the cherry blossom tree next to my mother. I quickly find myself falling asleep. The last thing I remember before slumber takes me is the feeling of a gentle hand stroking my hair, and a soft voice whispering goodnight. Yay! Okay. I'm going to wrap this part up here because it was extremely long, but I didn't want to interrupt her story because it's extremely touching. I'm going to let that soak in for you guys. I'm going to let Shizuka's story sink in and warm the cockles of your cold, frozen, dead hearts. The one that wanted to stab her in the eye when you saw her, and now you can't do it, and now you just the guilt at even thinking that. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.